I'm really delighted to be here. I'm literally right off after doing how to become immune to rejection through a resilience model that we built over the years. And the last group were really, really lovely. And so I'm looking forward now to settling right into this and having a good chat with you all as well. So first of all, my name is Susan, as Shauna mentioned, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it through my story, but from a very different perspective. I'm going to talk to you about my sense of ambition and how it's changed over the years, and also how it's changed according to the phase of the business that I was progressing through. Okay. Now, today, though, I want to make sure that it's really interactive, like all of them, like everybody, that this is what we're all hoping to achieve right throughout the throughout the week. So therefore, what I'm going to do is I am going to share a link with you. Okay, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to pop it in the chat, and then I am going to press enter there. And if you could all click on that there, please, and head over to Mentimeter. Just press the button, press the love heart button there so that I know that you're there. What I'm going to do as well is I'm just going to share my screen so I'll be able to see what you can see. And can I just check with you there, Shauna? Can I check that you see Welcome to Your Future? Is that what you see there has come up?
Yes, that's come up. Yes, perfect.
Okay, right. So I can see there about nine of you have clicked on that there so far. 14 of you. Okay, right. So let's get ready to rock then. Please do. Anybody else who you're more than welcome to join that link, and it will work at any stage throughout what we're doing today. Right. Now, here's the first question is, what does ambition mean to you? Because this is where I really want to tailor the discussion around where we're going today. So what does ambition mean to you? What does it mean to you? Let's see how you vote. Okay. And if you want to come back then and look on my screen, you'll see what other people are saying. Okay, so we've had 11 answers so far. Because what I want to do is tailor what I'm going to discuss with you, focusing on what matters to you. Okay, so a little over half the group is now, okay, right. So there's a pretty clear trend here, really, isn't there? Of the 22 of you that have voted so far, 17 of you have said doing more interesting work with more impactful results. Okay. 18 of you out of 24 have now said that. 2 of you have said becoming more senior and having more responsibility. 3 of you have said having more choice over what you want to do. Did you answer correctly? There is no such thing as the right or the wrong answer here. What matters is it's entirely down to you, okay? Now, the thing is, though, is how do you get to more interesting work and how do you get to more impactful results? So let me hear about that now. So can I ask you, if you knew that the work that you had done was impactful, what would you have done? Okay, so let me ask you that question again, and just pop your answers there into the chat. So when you tell me that you want to do more interesting work with more impactful results, what impact is the impact that you want to make? In other words, how would you know that you would have had an impact? While you're getting your ideas together for that, I work with thousands of teenagers every year. I'm an associate lecturer with Ulster University. And I also run a lot of work experiences for both teenagers and college students for companies. And so within that, an awful lot of the impact that I have is on young people and how they see their careers, the communication, the confidence in times to come. Okay, so one of you there has said published research. Okay, that's one way in which you would have made an impact. Getting a lot of good feedback. Excellent, Brendan. And positive feedback, says Pauline. Connor says the impact would have helped people. Okay, improve student outcomes. John McGuire says having learned new skills and gained new insight. Rebecca says positive impact contributes positively to your personal and professional development along with the overall goals of the organization. You see, my point is we all have a different definition of what that is. What's important is you have yours. That is what's truly important, is what is your impact. Now, interesting work also comes down to, well, what are interesting things to do? So now, again, might just hear that. So what is interesting work to you? Is it presenting? Is it writing? Is it working with people? Is it selling? Is it, so let's not necessarily just focus on the impact this time, but on the work that you find interesting. Learning new skills, Nicholas. Okay, I can see now putting the two together, publishing and learning new skills. So would it be lecturing? Is it helping people in a hospital? Is it Is it discovering new ways of doing things? Is it technology? Is it 3D printing? Is it sustainability? What is interesting work? And it can be in any definition. It can be in any of your definitions. Maybe it might be how the people that you work with. More responsibility, Rebecca, excellent one. Yep, can be more responsibility. That can become more interesting. Is it managing people? Is it seeing them grow? Is it being able to increase the impact or increase the output that you have? What else would you say? Let's just hear a couple of more thoughts on this now before I go on, because then what I'm going to tell you is my story, and I'm going to talk to you about how it has changed and the skills that I've needed in a different environment. Teamwork generally, says John. Yeah, so I'd say you're a people person, John, and therefore teamwork can mean a lot of different things to different people again. And I'm going to come back and ask you, I'm going to ask you all a question later on about something connecting Rebecca's seniority or responsibility with John's teamwork. Okay, I'm going to come back and ask you something about that there in a while. Okay, so just going to pause Mentimeter there now for a moment, and I want to show you a slide of my story. Okay, and I'm going to current slide. Yeah, okay, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm sharing the correct screen with you, because there's nothing worse than having to look at a PowerPoint when you could just be looking at a pure slide, like I hope you are doing right now. Okay, so let me take you through this and let me tell you about how my ambition changed over the years, and then we're going to talk about you. We're going to do a lot more questions than on Mentimeter. I'm going to hear from you, right? So back here, right up here at the very beginning, back here in 2010, this is when I started off my journey in Hayes-Culleton. That was the company I set up, it's still there, thank God, and set up Hayes-Culleton back in 2010. Now back then, it was me and a laptop, lots of enthusiasm and financial knowledge. That was it. That was it. That's all. There was nobody else in the business. It was just me. Now, my husband would have, like, he owned part of the business as well, and he has since joined the company as an employee as well. But truly, back then, it was pretty much me. So anyway, then from there, I went on. And an interesting thing happens when you start branding yourself as a name, even when you don't intend to. One of the sessions I'm going to talk to you about later on in the week is about your USP, your unique selling point. And we'll have a chat about that later on in the week, how you distinguish yourself in the workplace. But I will tell you, back then, I started being known as a positive economist. And here's how. I was on the radio one day, and I've done a lot in media over the years, but I was on the radio one day anyway. And one day I was introduced as a recessionista, right? I was somebody who was talking about opportunities with the recession and all that type of thing on the radio. And I was in, the next time when I was in, they said, and today we have our positive economist, Susan, and we went on from there. So later on I said to my husband, then boyfriend, just for full context, I said, I was called the positive economist today. That's an interesting name, isn't it? And he said to me, oh my God, that perfectly describes you. Why don't you secure the domain name? Now, to any of you who aren't familiar with what a domain name is, that's a name on a website, and it's super easy to do and super cost effective as well. So I did, and I started writing under the name The Positive Economist on the blog. But back then, I would have also put that as my signature. So then I started getting calls from conference organizers saying, we really need a positive economist in the year 2020, 2010 to come in and talk about the economy. Will you come and speak? And then I realized, maybe there's another element to what we do. So that was back then in 2010, Hayes-Culleton and the Positive Economist were born. But this was where my ambition lay, right over here, right? This was it, is that I wanted to travel, and I wanted to travel within my career. I wanted to travel within my career, and of course my career was the business. So this is where I put a huge amount of my effort into how do I develop international relationships. And the thing about ambition is, that's why I asked you, what does it mean to you, is that you have to know what you want. It's so important that you know what you want, and sometimes it can be hard to figure that out. And I want to help you with that today. But for me, I knew I wanted to travel, I wanted to see the world, but I never wanted to get homesick, and I wanted to do it through the lens of the business. So I put a huge effort into that and continue to. But that was where my ambition lay, and that was the key skill that helped me to propel me towards the next phase of what I was going to do. So anyway, on we went from there. By 2014, I had written 3 books. One of them is the economics textbook in the South, and 2 of them were published by Penguin, called The Savvy Woman's Guide to Financial Freedom, The Savvy Guide to Making More Money, and also in addition, I had also got my professional exams as well, my CFA charter. However, I was now realizing that my next form of ambition actually led to another area where I was failing miserably, and I mean miserably, is this one, is that I couldn't manage people. I was just so frustrated. We were at this stage, we'd taken on the first 1 or 2 people, and I was so frustrated by them. Oh my God, why weren't they doing things the way I thought? Why weren't they doing things the way I do them? Why weren't they able to read my mind? Why? And let me tell you about this bit, is I realized, would you ever complain to a 3-year-old that he can't walk? Sorry, would you ever complain to a 12-month-old that he can't walk if nobody had ever taught him? No, you wouldn't. But yet, that's what I was doing. I was berating myself about why wasn't it that I couldn't manage people? Why couldn't I just do it? Why? And I was questioning until I realized I'd never learned. And that was when I met Ulster University, actually. It was then, I was 30 in 2016, and to save you doing the maths, I'm 35 now. I was 30 in 2016, and I said, for my 30th birthday present to myself, was I got myself a master's in executive leadership as a student. And I did, and that changed everything. That was a skill that I needed to develop. But a master's doesn't solve everything. It doesn't solve everything at all. Yes, of course, I got the academic backing, and I got a bazillion practical tools to manage people. But let me tell you how my ambition turned into my reality, is that I practiced at every single situation. I practiced with every interaction I had with my team. I practiced people management with every client. I practiced people management with all of the client's staff that were being exposed to me as well in the work that I was doing. And now, I won't say I'm the best people manager in the world, because I'm not, but what I will say is now I've learned, A, how to do it, B, how to do it well, and C, I've learned how to realize when I'm getting to that next level. So can I come back now to Rebecca's point about gaining more responsibility, and John's point, right, about teamwork? If I was to offer you 2 different jobs, all right, I could set this up in Mentimeter, but I'm doing this spontaneously and I don't want to take any time, because my time with you is precious. So I'm just going to ask you to tell me there, oh, you know what I can do is I can set up a poll super quick here on Blackboard. That's what I'm going to do. Right, I'm going to offer you 2 jobs. I'm going to set up right now. So you're going to go for promotion, okay? So I'm not going to write that down. You're going for promotion, but you have a choice. Would you prefer to manage, right, here's the 2 choices, either more people or a bigger, more complex technical project with a bigger budget? Okay, so one choice or the other. So more people, and thus more responsibility, and all that comes with it, right? Including the money that would need to fund them and everything else. But let me run this now. What's your answer? Which would you prefer? More people and thus more responsibility, or a bigger, more complex technical project with a bigger budget? And I'll tell you a sore lesson that people can learn if they don't consider the answer to this. And I'm going to give you a book recommendation for it as well. Okay, so far, there's 10 people haven't voted yet. Okay, so I'm just noting down here the book that I'm going to tell you. It's only because of what Rebecca and John said. All right, interesting. This is really interesting. Okay, I'm going to give 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3. Okay, wow, nearly everyone has voted. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me show you your answers. There you go. That's what you've told me, is that you've said 16 of you have said you would prefer a bigger, more complex technical project with a bigger budget. 12 of you have said more people and thus more responsibility. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing there now. I'm going to end the poll. Okay. The reason I'm telling you this is a lot of people think promotion can only come through people, but it doesn't. Yes, people skills are critical. They're critical if you want to have ambition to move forward. It is critical that you're able to manage people, but it doesn't have to be corely critical or vital or right at the center. The Leadership Pipeline is the book that I would recommend to a lot of you. It was on my reading list within my Ulster University Masters in Executive Leadership. Very, very good book. Probably the most clearly defined book that I've ever read in leadership, right? And I'll tell you about this, is it points out that it's different to manage, a team of 10 people. It's versus managing 2 managers who each have 10 people. It's different to be the CEO of a large organization to being the CEO of a smaller one. It's different to manage a group of businesses than it is to manage one. And we often kind of lump the whole lot in together and think, okay, well, look, I'm just going to be managing people now, so I'll delegate and I'll keep them happy and it'll be fine. There's skills in it, yes, but there's also the skills change dependent on the level that you're in. So Rachel just asked me to call out the name of the book again. It's called The Leadership Pipeline, Rachel. I'll just type it in there. The Leadership Pipeline. I have a book, a summary of it on my website. I'll tweet that out later on today under hashtag Future Skills Week. So if any of you want to interact with me there, you'll see it there. So anyway, right, so I learned people skills, and then I learned, okay, actually, do you know what? I actually quite like managing people. And do you know what I love? I love the impact of it. I love the impact of working together as a team and having a greater sum of parts. And I've really figured out that when I learned how to do that, my ambition could really explode. Because when you work with people to be able to lead them towards an outcome that is much greater than what you can achieve on your own, then you can really get somewhere. But if instead, rather than, let's say that I'm really good at sales, right? Let's say that I'm super good in sales and I'm in a company. What I don't understand is why in those cases, those people are promoted to being sales managers without talking to them about another opportunity. Because let's say I'm really good at sales, and let's say you praise me because I'm so good at sales. Let's say I love that. And now what you're asking me to do is to teach other people how to get the praise that I used to get and teach them the skills that I used to be very good at without questioning if I'm actually good at leading a team. And the leadership pipeline takes you through the fallacy that companies can fall into by saying, right, Susan's very good at sales, let's promote her to teaching other people how to do it. If anything, you could promote me into either guarding my knowledge, or you could also promote me into where really what I do is that I step in and do the work for the people who I just can't explain how to do it to them. So that's what I needed to do in terms of learning about ambition, was that ambition moved from developing international relationships, myself, me and the laptop and the suitcase and the plane, to then going on and to be able to manage people and to get a truly great understanding of that. So in 2016, I then met a business partner and we created Savvy Teen Academy. That started off as a summer camp focusing on careers, communication and confidence, and then migrated into being a work experience business, and now it's gone on to do other things. I bought my business partner out in 2018, and then I realized, as we move on then, I realized that there was another place that my ambition was now struck, and this is this red icon. And this time, what I realized my ambition needed to be focused on was innovation. And let me tell you, that was a totally different ballgame. Then I realized, you know what I really get excited about is being able to do something different that can bring things to the market that are better, faster, cheaper, more efficient, better outcomes, better experience, etc. That's what really drives me now. So during these 2 years, I started to really figure out how to make things better, how to make processes better, how to make things just think better, work better, etc. But let me tell you about innovation on the other hand. Lots of people love to hear great stories of great risk being taken, and then there's a wonderful outcome, all that sort of thing thereafter. But you know what, actually? People like hearing when that works out. They don't like hearing when it doesn't. And if you think about it, innovation is taking a risk to do things in a way they haven't been done before. But maybe they have been done this way before, but nobody knows about them. Maybe they haven't done before, but when you try to do them faster, they weren't profitable. Maybe when you try to do them cheaper, they were lower quality. Maybe when you tried to come up with a new idea, you had to train your market to want that new idea, and they just weren't biting. And by the way, that was my experience with that first innovation. We built a new business, a new product, and it was really cool, and it was technically adept, and it was smooth, and it was all sorts of everything. Market just didn't want it. Said, yeah, no. The market just told me, no. We are really, look, what we're doing is fine, and until you can show us somebody else that has done it successfully with great results, where they're happy to pay the price that you want to charge us, then come back to us. And we simply couldn't get our foot, we simply couldn't get going after that. We simply couldn't. So that was one of 2 business failures that I've had. We pivoted entirely, and now that business is worth 40% of our revenue, where we simply challenged the assumptions. And now we're actually working on a new innovation partnership. We're building an entirely new business again, and we're going to do it all again, but now with the lessons that I have learned all along. The thing what I'm now trying to tell you is that by the time I got to this new part of my ambition, it was much harder. Much harder. Oh my God, it was much harder, but much more exciting. And I knew by the time we got to 2016, we were 6 years old by then. I was 30. I knew we could have a consultative, profitable lifestyle business that could, that could be good and interesting and work with a lot of people, and I could be very enjoyable, but I knew we had to move towards the next level. Little did I know at that stage how hard it would be. But when I started to truly investigate innovation, when I truly started to understand how other people did this, and what I needed to find at this stage is, the phrase, you can't be what you can't see. I needed to find people who I wasn't seeing. And that took me on a variety of journeys. I go on a trade mission every year. The last year was virtual, but I go on a trade mission every year to see that. This is when I started reading about people who had done things that were much bigger than I thought my capabilities were. And I was simply constantly trying to put myself in an environment where I was looking around for where other people's ambition was bigger than mine, so that I could inspire my own. Now, on that note, I'd just like to hear again in the chat, what or who inspires you? What or who inspires you? When it comes to your ambition, what or who inspires you? Let's just get a sense, and why. Let's just get a sense of that. I'd just like to hear that in the chat now, is what or who inspires you? For me at that stage, I was inspired by the challenge, by trying to do something different, by trying to bring something new to the market. The social media companies inspired me for how they trained us to look for something different and to do something different than we had before. So I'm just going to give you a moment here. Let's just hear what or who inspires you. Let's just see what you have to say. Aha, interesting. Often, Sean, I can hear that a lot, is family, is that the inspiration to do better or to be the best version of you can often come from family. Absolutely. Brendan, work colleagues with a lot of experience. Yes. And particularly, like, while a lot of you are in the university, there's so much of that around, whether it's looking at innovation from the point of view of what's going on in a couple of the hubs, or looking at the spin-outs from the business school. Also, I will tell you, we're running an event as part of Future Skills Weeks on Friday, all around tech and sustainability, and I've been speaking to a couple of the people on the panel. They're really looking beyond, and how you merge technology and sustainability together for better outcomes for all, with the triple bottom line. That is really where I'm really interested at the moment. Let me see who else. My master supervisor, my current supervisor, Nicholas. That's fantastic. That's great. My supervisor as well, he was great. He was really good, and my master supervisor, he was very good and very interested in why I was interested, because that's the power that you have to power through. Rebecca says, work colleagues on my placement here. Brilliant, brilliant. My mum inspires me to be able. She's amazing. Orla says, yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant as well. And it's super to have a role model like that, Rebecca. Or Orla. Ronan says, Conor McGregor for his hard work and determination, coupled with huge ambition. Ronan, I watched a documentary with him, the one where he's being interviewed on stage in Manchester on a flight coming home from somewhere. He is incredible in terms of his vision, all right. And he really believes in, the power of manifestation and visualization. Certainly, his skills of doing that are interesting. Tara says, learning and gaining knowledge from others and success stories. Absolutely, Tara, absolutely. And looking at Future Skills Week this week, I think what the university has done is it's laid out so many people right around Northern Ireland who have so much to share. Like, it's a great opportunity for that. Let me see. Mary says, people that have overcome difficulties in succeeding and resilience. Mary, yes. And you know what? Remember that when you're going through tough times, is that you're often then the role model for others as they look to you. Absolutely. Let me see now. Saida says, technology to automate real-time things. Yes, Saida. Definitely come along on Friday. Come along and wait until you hear about what we're going to be talking about there. Ewan, a previous water sports instructor who taught me, one of the youngest Royal Yachting Association chief instructors. I heard somebody say yesterday that the course she chose in college was because her teacher in secondary school just made the subject come alive, and then she just wanted to keep following that path. One person can have such an impact there, and to boost one's ambition as well. Comfort says, my background, brilliant. Kieran says, people who multitask, people plus who don't lose their cool. Interesting, Kieran. Catherine says, family, friends, and achieving goals you've set for yourself. Seeing other people be successful at what I want to do. Excellent, Claire. Perseverance, determination, and resilience. All of those things, they all matter, and they all feed right in to the ability that one has in order to overcome challenges, definitely, for sure. But you know what I'm actually getting from you all? And some of you are kind of more forefront about it, like Mary, when Mary talks about overcoming difficulty, is that it sounds like in this group, I'm hearing that a lot of you like challenge, is that you like challenge, is that you like setting your sights higher, is that you like looking beyond where other people might look. That's really great to see. So in 2018, then we went on, as I say, we built a business. At that stage, we had built a business. It hadn't worked out at all. We pivoted it, and then we totally had to move on from there then as well. And we just had to fix it. We had to challenge the assumptions, change everything we thought. Technology stayed the same. The business model changed, and it just completely revolutionized everything. And now innovation is totally where I'm at. So this next icon over here then is technology. I really needed to upskill there next. And this time, for the first time, it was a technical skill, not a soft skill, because here, building international relationships, building my people management skills, building innovative thinking, down here, the next time, there's no doubt about it, between 2018 and today, I had to build my tech skills. I had to really invest in my ability to build no code. And as regards 2020, oh my God, did I have to become much more technically adept, much more so. And I needed to become much more proficient in understanding how people learned. And I needed to understand how to have engagement online, whether I was going to be running a webinar, whether I was going to be doing like Friday, interviewing people online and hearing from the audience when they can't put up their hand to get the mic. Can I ask you, what technology do you think? Where are you placing your interest right now in terms of technology? Is it cloud computing? Is it using the Google Suite? Are you learning how to code? Are you thinking that you need to build your abilities to work in a remote team? Where's your technology? Where right now are you finding that you need to enable your ambition with tech skills? Is it, for example, those of you who are involved in research and so on, is it in being able to use the much greater access that you have through the virtual library rather than going in and physically taking a book off a shelf? Like just to hear your thoughts on technology now. Google Suite, Virtual Library, love to learn how to code. Okay, Tara, I'll tell you where to start. I'll absolutely, and by the way, if any of you want to know where to start on any tech skill, ask me and I'll tell you what I think. Okay, Google Suite, Virtual Library are an absolutely, right? And there is so much you can do with it. So much that you can do with it. Now, Tara, in terms of learning how to code, what I would suggest is that you go to lynda.com, lynda.com. Go to lynda.com, and if you're a member of the university, if you're staff, well then Ulster University have access to that. That's where I started to learn. But also, what I would say, Tara, by the way, if any of you are interested in app development, which Ronan you are, so I'll hold on to my point until then. Mary, social media presence, yes. What I would say there is pick one and go for it. I love LinkedIn and I love Twitter. I'm on Twitter quite a bit. I'm at Susan Hayes _, by the way. I'll be tweeting throughout the week about #FutureSkillsWeek. I love Twitter. It's where I get my news. It's where I get my market research. It's how I keep in touch with people. I love it. LinkedIn as well. I'll tell you the way that I have used LinkedIn in a different way is I do video summaries of the events that I speak at. So on Friday, I will be doing a video summary of the conversations about tech and sustainability, for example. So for anybody who won't have time to go along to the full hour and a half, which you should anyway, but if you don't have time, that's what I'll be doing. And that is, for me, learning how to build my social media presence has been very important from a marketing point of view. But by God, Mary, it has been critical again in 2020. Brendan says using collaborative tools. Yeah, Brendan, can I tell you one? Can I tell you one that I use all the time now when I'm working with remote teams, working with clients, working consultancy, or trying to manage my own thoughts? Klaxoon. It's a French tool, Klaxoon. French collaborative tool. I use it all the time. Do you know what it's very good for as well, Brendan? It's really good for, let's say you're working on a specific project, right? And then scope creep comes in. Now, scope creep is when you kind of get off the point and people say, oh, it'd be great if we did this, and you kind of think, yes, can we all stay on message here? Klaxoon. Klaxoon is a very, very good one for facilitating all sorts of interactions. Very powerful. I've used it twice already today. What else have we got here? Yes, Ronan. Just getting into app development, and I'm really focused on wireframing right now. Ronan, when I'm building apps, right, first of all, I don't build apps. But when I'm describing, we are building one at the moment in our new innovation partnership. When I'm doing that, do you know what I do is I create a low-code version of the app so that I can convey my view to somebody else, my vision to somebody else, rather than, well, you know, if I do this and I do this, bubble is what I do. Or bubble is what I use. So for any of you interested in kind of designing something just to get something out of your head and into something accessible, bubble.io, bubble.io, that's the one to watch. I better write down all these so that I make sure and tweet them for you all. Bubble, Claxoon, Linda.com. I'll make sure that I tweet these out for you later on. Rebecca, Google Analytics and other key metrics to measure success of campaigns. Absolutely, Rebecca. Absolutely, I wholeheartedly agree with you. There's so many analytics that you can get these days to examine various different things that you're working on, and it's so important to test, pivot, learn, test, pivot, learn. John, been intrigued by Photoshop for a while, and I think now maybe Proto.io. Oh, Proto.io might be for the app development, Tara. John, yes, and you know what I use as well a lot, and I use it with the teenagers and other groups a lot, is Canva. Canva is like a lower code version of that. Any of you who are going to attend any of the social media workshops later on this week, like LinkedIn and so on, go to canva.com and you can create a background there, graphically designed background, for free with the right dimensions and everything. Those types of technologies can be really, really, really good. Have I got everybody? If there's any more there that you have, I'm going to add that in there as well. So Canva, Klaxoon, Linda, and Bubble. Is there anything else there as well? Sorry, Cara, you said using InDesign. Yeah, that's the one that I find is really, really, really helpful. Is, as I mentioned there, can be Canva. It's my go-to. Let me see what else we got there. Mural, says Rebecca, and Elsbieta as well says I started using BioRender for design. That's what I mean. And I'm really glad to see that you've got my fourth red icon on the go, which is really great to see. So it is important. It certainly is important to have some sort of technical proficiency. And people say that as you go on, that you need to have your soft skills matter more than your technical skills. To a large degree, I'd agree, but at some point you have to top them right up. And all of what I'm telling you about, I've used myself in order to do that. Now, so to bring you up to today, where I'm at now is that I have my own show on YouTube now called Fantastic Female Fridays. It's a show sponsored by the US. I've always wanted my own TV show. Always thought a far-fetched idea. But you know what? I'd love to have my own TV show. The thing is, did it need to be on TV? And the answer is no. And now I have my own Fantastic Female Friday show, as I say, and now we've also launched a second show focusing on ESG and tech. ESG is environmental, social, and governance investing. So it's like a form of tech and sustainability. Also, as you can see there, I'm an associate lecturer at Ulster University as well. And also now, this is the last story I want to tell you before we go back to you. And I'm going to ask you another couple of questions through Menti. The other thing here as well is that what I have learned here, and this is the last icon, my last red icon, is the importance of stakeholder engagement. Now, I actually work with the team who run the MBT, Masters in Business and Technology here in Ulster University. One of their modules is stakeholder engagement, and I worked with them on that module. There are so many tips and tools and techniques and very solid academic models and practical outcomes for this. But stakeholder engagement is when you think about what do people want who are different stakeholders, how do you match them together, and then to come out with a better outcome for all. Now that is a very, very advanced skill, and I'm not doing too bad at 35 to be really focusing on that. So I want to tell you a story about how this book over here came about, and also how this ties right in to the SDGs. The SDGs are the Sustainable Development Goals. SDGs, right? The Sustainable Development Goals are now coming mainstream into the heart of business and how lots and lots and lots and lots of things work today. But let me tell you about how I made something happen that was much greater than me. And this is when I started to see the latest, most ambitious forms of my own ambition coming to pass. First of all, I had a proposal in with my publisher, right, same publisher as back here, to write a book around careers, communication, and confidence, and to sell it to secondary schools, all over the South, right? So my publisher said, yeah, great, love the idea, Susan. Let's put the proposal together, which I did, followed up on it, blah, 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 blah. And then they said, let's do some market research. They did. And you know what the teacher said? No. We love the book, love the idea, but you know what? Look, really what we do is we would take the free copy that you would give us, we'd photocopy the exercises out of it, because the year would be transition year. Look, we haven't got a fixed curriculum or anything. We take what we want out of it. To be honest, you wouldn't make any money. Now, I noted all of that down because and like I said to you, I'm just after the session on becoming immune to rejection. So anyway, that happened. Was told basically, no, that's not going to happen. And then what I did was I said, okay, note all that down. At the same time, CFA Institute here has spoken to me, CFA Ireland, my own professional organisation, said, we love what you're doing with Savvy Teens. Could we come in and speak to your students? And I said, well, you could, but actually, wouldn't it, like, maybe there's something bigger we can do. And I turned I said, because I felt that was not very scalable. So what I did was I turned both of those problems into each other's solutions. So I went back to CFA and I said, would you sponsor me to write the book? And would you print a copy and give it to every secondary school in Ireland so that we give teachers what they said they would do? Give them all a free book so they could photocopy the exercises and bring that content into schools and truly democratize financial literacy. And I went back to the publisher and I said, if I got a sponsor, would you do it? And they said, well, yeah, but where are you going to get a sponsor? That book is now published and it is going into every school in September. All I had to do was figure out what people wanted and figure out how I could bridge two people's problems to becoming one solution. And now that project is growing arms and legs and so on from there. And that is how I've seen my ambition come to pass. So in summary, before we go back over here to Mentimeter, building international relationships was critical for bringing that initial ambition to life. Then people management skills, bringing the ambition that I had to reality through people. Then thinking innovatively to take on the bigger challenges. Then it was developing my technical skills. And then finally over here, then it is about stakeholder engagement and analysis as well. Ronan says, will the book be for sale? We're trying to work on that, Ronan. If you want to send me a message on LinkedIn, I can follow up with you. But we are hoping that that'll be the case at some stage, all right. Now, let's head back over here now. And I'm going to ask you a few more questions on Mentimeter. So I'm going to swing this over here. So just in case any of you don't have the link again, there it is. So let's now move on. And I am just going to ask, what do you want from your workplace? Now, of course, I just also want to see now, let's hear about how does your ambition actually come to pass? So what is it that you want? And let's have a chat about how you could get there. And I have five minutes to let's figure out this from your point of view. So what is it that you particularly want from your workplace? And so you rank them. Okay, so pick out the things that you want. Okay, 2 people there have okay, interesting. Do you know what? Some of what you're telling me ties right in with what you mentioned earlier on, but I'm going to wait and analyze this together. Ten of you have answered, and I'm going to wait until my clock goes to 13:41. And let's just see what you have to say there. And my clock has now gone to 13:41. All right, so I'm just going to start commenting here now for what I see. Right, 24 of you have answered right. The first answer here says what you want more so than anything is the ability to do what I love to do most of the time every day. This ties right in with what you said there about over here what ambition means to you. That ties right in. So I'm really glad that we had a chat then about what it is. The first thing you need to have in order to make that come true is know what you want. Is what you would love to do every day, and write it down. Another thing, can I give you a really effective technique, and I do this all the time personally, and I do this with groups, is create a vision board using Google Slides or using PowerPoint. And I have a PowerPoint now where I have my ambition created, whereby I have a picture of what I want my house to look like, what I want my international side of the business to look like, what I want my profit and loss to look like, what I want the team to look like, is actually, if you actually create a vision board using Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint, or like you can obviously do it by cutting out bits and pieces of paper, or Pinterest or Instagram, but that is something that I do all the time. And that, when you have to find a picture that represents your vision, that can really help, that when you get a picture of what you want to do most of the time every day. Okay, second thing you said here is having good work-life balance. Okay, here's how to have good work-life balance. Number one is know what your boundaries are. Because my work-life balance and your work-life balance could be very different. My work-life balance, by the way, my actual work-life balance is that I have my weekends off. I didn't have those off for years. Not because people stopped me from taking them, but because I didn't really put a parameter around them. And now for me, it's having my weekends off. I'll happily work for you all week long, and I do, but my weekends are absolutely sacrosanct. They really, really, really are. And so what it's for you, it could be you want to be able to take the kids to school in the morning. For another person, it could be that you finish on the dot every day at 5 o'clock. For somebody else, it might be that work-life balance is that work gives them everything that they might possibly want so that they can have the life that they would like to lead. So again, it comes down to what it is that you want out of that. Making an impact in a cause that matters to me. What is that impact? And again, we've had a chat about that earlier on, but it's so important. I hear this all the time. People say, I want to be able to do what I want to do most of the time every day, or I want to make an impact, but they don't know on what. So that too, you can tie that into your vision board or journal about it or talk to other people about it. It's really, really important to do that. Work with great people. That is, for me, that would be higher on my list personally. Working with great people is it's, you know what they say is, if you want to go fast, do it on your own. If you want to go far, do it with other people. And then finally over here, make lots of money. Interesting that that's as far down the list as it is. Okay, right. Where are we? I'm going to ask you one more question. Which adventure would you prefer? Right. So now I just want to see from a different angle. I just want to see your ambition from a different angle, and then we will wrap it up from there. And then, Sean, I'm going to hand it back to you then to close the session.
Yeah, Susan, no problem.
Perfect. So which adventure would you prefer? And I'll tell you what this tells me about you. What does this tell me? All right, I'll tell you what it tells me, right? Because there's a clear trend standing out here. It tells me, those of you, the 71% of you who's heading up there on the mystery tour of the world for 2 weeks, that tells me that you're able for spontaneity. Ah, yeah, what's a Bloxburg? That you're able for spontaneity, that you're hungry for adventure, that you're okay with, travel, and that you're okay with understanding different cultures. Like, because I could have dropped you into the middle of a food market in India. I could have sent you over to Westminster. I could put you in a villa in France, or I could send you fruit picking in the outback in Australia. What that is telling me is that you're able for mystery, you're able for adventure, you're able for spontaneity. And remember, if that is what excites you, well then, or possibly travel, well then bring it into the job that you might be doing in the future. The reason that I asked about this in terms of intriguing buildings in Chicago, I think that I did a river tour in Chicago, and you can see buildings from a very different angle that you can't see from the ground. This tells me here that some of you there are quite structural, that you like to look maybe from a point of view of maybe looking at things or engineering, or looking at innovative ways that things were achieved. Solving puzzles and deciphering codes in the jungle, there was 2 elements to that as well. So solving puzzles and deciphering codes shows me that you're logical, mathematical, like finding hard issues and solving your way through them. Maybe it's theoretical in research, maybe it's practical from the point of view of how to solve a big problem. The jungle bit was more so to see whether you liked to be outside or inside. Going to a fashion show in London, this tells me that you're a bit more visual, that it could also be the glitz and the glamour. That maybe this is maybe an area that you're looking at from a PR point of view, as well as the big city, the urban lifestyles where relationships really matter. Now, Bloxburg, the person who voted for this, Bloxburg is a virtual world, and it's where it's a place where people can build things and look at 3D shapes and so on on the internet. You can build a city on the internet. And this person as well, what this is telling me is that you could be somebody who could be looking for ambition to happen and manifest its way through from a virtual environment, but also by looking at things differently and by working on a remote environment. Everybody else had picked a physical place except you. So on that note, Shauna, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you very much indeed for being here with me. Thank you for going through my own story and for sharing your own ideas around what impact is, the things that you like to do, how your ambition can be boosted, who you look to in terms of role model, what matters to you in the workplace, as well as a sense of adventure. Back to you, Shauna.
Thanks, Susan. And Susan will be about just for another couple of minutes if anyone has any other questions. I think Susan will collect lots of those book ideas and resources and collate all of those as part of a Future Skills Week resource pack. As a reminder just to all of you on the call today, you can use some of these sessions for ED accreditation and also to get a Future Skills Week certificate. There's additional support available from Careers at Ulster throughout the summer months in terms of coaching, advice and guidance. There are lots of placement and graduate job opportunities on Handshake, and of course there are lots of other sessions over the rest of the week, such as tomorrow we have It's All About Who Knows You. We have Presenting with Impact on Thursday. We've got Unlock Your Future with David Mead on Friday. And there are lots more around digital boost sessions. There was one in the chat for Susan on Friday where it's tech and sustainability, a really exciting topic. So please do review what else is on offer and take part where you can. I'm going to stop the recording now and it will be available on the website before the end of the week. And if there are any remaining questions, please do pop them in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Shauna. And thanks so